Whose goals have you been trying to plan and execute? That is the question that I asked a group of women yesterday. And low key, high key, I think you need that question too. So, we're going to talk a little bit about how what you know about you helps you to create the good goals, the ones that actually matter, and the ones that will help you be part of the 8% at the end of a year who actually make some of those things happen. But first, the intro. And welcome back to another episode of the Daily Donna with me, your host, Dr. Donna. Now, my voice sounds like I've been chugging on cigarettes because I've been up late every evening, and these women will keep you talking. Yes, a friend and I decided that we were going to plan and execute a retreat for other sex educators and therapists. And let me tell you that this has been marvelous. We are, boots on the ground in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And the last so many days have been so fulfilling, not just, because a girl got to run away from the snow for a little bit, but also because I got to spend time with people that some that I already knew and liked, some that I needed to get to know, and to watch the camaraderie and the creation of like a cohesion of culture. I was just like, yo, this is delightful. So one of the things that we did is that yesterday I gave just a little something on goal planning. We did a goal planning workshop, if you will. Now, technology was not on our side yesterday, which means I did a low tech version, which is the same version that I'm going to give you a little bit something of it now. Because the question is, whose goals are you actually trying to execute? Low key, high key. A lot of us, we've got these parents, doctor, lawyer, engineer, has been drilled into our heads. This is the type of education you better get so that you can get this type of job, right? And here's the thing that sometimes we may not recognize as clearly. They give us these options out of love. And it also stops us from seeing the fullness of the possibilities elsewhere. When you are anchored into what someone else wants for you, and you have not been given all the opportunity to think and make choices and do all the things, and don't act like you ain't never had a time where you couldn't make some choices. When we are anchored in that, it is hard for us to find our voice. It is hard for us to define our desires, and even harder for us when we define those desires to actually begin moving toward them. Why? Because you ain't never been given no choices. You ain't got McDonald's money. Oh, you must not be hungry then. If you don't want what I cooked, you're not hungry, right? I know that our parents mean well when they give us an offering and don't give us any other offerings, right? I understand that sometimes the lack of offerings is because resources may be scarce or low, because they don't want waste, because they know how long they work to get whatever they got so that you could eat, and you try to tell them, no, you don't want to have rice again. They're not ready to hear that. But because so many of us grew up not having choices, not, at least not having real choices, a lot of us don't trust ourselves to make any decisions either. And I would even go so far as to say that sometimes we don't actually know ourselves. If you don't know who you are, good, bad, ugly, if you don't know how you feel about who you are, good, bad, ugly, it is hard for you to select aligned behaviors. It is easier to allow someone else's thoughts, someone else's desires, someone else's wants for your life dictate the terms of how you get to live. And maybe this is unfair to say, I think that some of us like it like that, even when we become aware, because you don't really want to take responsibility for your life. You want to be able to say that your life didn't turn out the way you wanted, that certain goals failed, that certain things were never realized because of somebody else. Taking full responsibility means that you would also have to note that your failures also belong to you, that those areas where you never tried, that's also a you thing. But if you keep saying that, like, well, my mama said, my auntie said, my uncle said, if you always get to say that it's somebody else, basically pass the buck, then you never actually have to take any responsibility or accountability for yourself. Now, remember, I said responsibility and accountability are two different things. Responsibility is task oriented. Like, did you do the things that you needed to do in order to make the thing happen that you said you wanted to happen? Right? Responsibility. Accountability is outcome oriented. What role did I play in this outcome? And that's the question I'm asking you right now. What role did you play in the outcome of your life thus far? Did you actually take any responsibility for your life? Or did you allow somebody else to dictate the terms of how you were going to live? Sometimes parents have big dreams, but they want it to live in your body as though you are simply a reincarnation of exactly who they are and should want the exact same things that they want. When we are creating goals, you have to know who you are. You have to know, like, seriously, simple shit about yourself. You need to know it. Which, are you a morning person? Are you when do you think you're best? What helps you get the best sleep ever? How often do you really need a break before you start snapping off on people at work? All of these are things that you probably already know about yourself. What I have found is that when I ask people to tell me things that they know about themselves, everybody starts drawing a blank. Nobody knows anything anymore. So I'm going to give you 3 things that I know about myself because I know that you know at least 3 about you. My favorite color is blue. I don't like leftovers. And I am a morning person, especially in paradise where you get to watch the sunrise. I want you to think about 3 things that you know about you. Now, I know that sometimes these things feel so innocuous, like how is this going to help me set a goal? Well, because some of us, we skip all these steps, right? We go straight to the part where we think about what we want, or rather a want, not necessarily our want. And then we make a goal off that. Wrong, incorrect, friend. After you figure out what you know about yourself, and I would say your homework would be to write 10 things you know about you. The next thing to do is to write out 100 wants, 100 things that you want. They can be big, small, or medium. Why are you doing this? You're doing this because you just spent some time thinking about what you know about yourself. It means that you're now more likely to pick out some of those things that you want for you, not what someone else wants for you. And even then, you're writing 100 of them, which means some other people's wants may be bound to just sneak on up in there. That's okay. We're going to note what those are. And you're going to put a star next to the ones and maybe put who you think it belongs to. And then take some time to consider whether or not it's one that you want for you. Because sometimes what someone else says to us can be the thing that sparks the thing that we want. It's okay for that to be true. We just don't want to take someone else's want for us at face value and never have examined it. So now we know some things about us. We know 100 things that we want. Now is the time where you start thinking about the beginning parts of what is it that you ultimately want to achieve within a year. A year, not 20 years. Although there is something to be said about long forecasted goals, but those need to be a lot more vague, I would say. But when you're making your goal, the goal needs to be specific. It is a goal, not a compound goal. You get me? One thing that you want to achieve, but keeping in mind various areas of your life. Now, I gave the girls 6. And because my memory is not like it used to be, I won't be able to give you the same 6. But I'll say that they were finance, personal, business, and job, health. mental, emotional, etc., health, and I don't know, two more. You are going to use this as a filter and as a way to select. When you're making your goals, if they are disconnected from what you know about your life, especially in the present moment, I want to know what the heck you doing. And low key, I'm talking to me. So last year, I had a goal to do Pilates every week. Here's the thing that I knew though. I knew I had fibroids. I also knew that chances are I wanted to do something about those fibroids in the last year. Why would I make a goal about doing Pilates every week when I knew for sure there was going to be some time where I literally would not be able to do Pilates because I was going to have a surgery? It sets you up for failure. I, I did not use what I knew about my time, about my year, about my body, about my health, and about my finances to make that goal. Do not create goals that set you up for failure. You want the ones that set you up for success, which means if you have a goal to be in somebody's class and that class costs $300 per class and you don't have $300 per class for that class, that's not your goal. Your goal might be, well, actually, it doesn't mean it's not your goal. It might mean that you need to sideways look at this goal. It might mean that maybe that's not the class. Maybe the goal is to eventually be able to take that class, which means that you have a finance goal of how do I get this money? Put the money aside, put it in a high yield savings account so that that money can make money and you can eventually get to the place where you can take that class every week or whatever it is that you're trying to do. The point is, don't set yourself up for failure when you already know plenty of things about your finances, your health, your job, and how your mental is going. We're not setting ourselves up for failure. We're setting ourselves up for success. So you're using the thing that you know about you, how you generally feel about some of those things you know, to create your wants, to create a goal that is filtered through what you already know about your life. That is what I'm saying you do. And that is what I want you to try for, right? So that's your homework, right? Go create a goal. One goal, make it smarter. That means it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable. Okay? Attainable. Related to your actual life. And time bound. That's smart. R would be the part where you evaluate the goal and redirection it as necessary. We're making smarter goals. So I hope that you got something from this. I know I just wanted to teach you real quick how to actually do some goal setting because a lot of people skip a lot of steps. How I came to this will be in a whole other video. All right. You are the bee's knees. I have been Dr. Donna. This is the Daily Donna, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to write one of your goals in the comments below, especially if you want a little bit of help to make sure that you wrote it right. All right. Bye.